You've heard me say it a few times now, but our goal as investors isn't to earn the highest possible return in any given year, but to instead earn a good return for as long as possible. It might not sound super exciting, but that's the truth. If we look at the numbers, historically a US-based 80% stocks, 20% bond portfolio has averaged an annual return of 9.5% over the past almost 100 years. That average return includes going through the Great Depression, World War II, the OPEC oil crisis of the 1970s, the savings and loan crisis of the 1980s, the Asian financial crisis, the dot-com bubble, the 2008 financial crisis, the COVID-19 pandemic, and so many more negative headlines. If we look back, history shows us a lot of reasons to be extremely pessimistic about investing over the past 100 years. And yet the average returns are phenomenal. A lot higher than the average long-term returns for most investors. Often when someone says average, it implies having to settle for less. But when we say average here, we're referring to the average market returns, likely higher actual returns for most investors. In order to maximize returns over a long period of time, we want to be able to give our investments space and time for them to do their thing. We need to create distance between ourselves and our investments so we're not in a position of relying on them before we reach our goals. This requires us to create safeguards between us and our investments. Safeguards typically take the form of an emergency fund and insurance coverage through your employer or through personally owned policies. They are sources of money and income that we can use instead of having to withdraw from our investments, allowing them to continue to work for us. In addition to having safeguards between us and our investments, there are other areas of our financial situation that we should consider to ensure they are appropriate for what we're working towards. That's what this chapter is all about. We're going to explore how we can better manage our risk, protecting our investments from our own dependence in the short term to maximize our returns in the long term.